to just pause and pay tribute to an icon. Of course, I'm talking about Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh is no longer with us today. He passed away after a long bout of lung cancer, born 1951, passed away 2021. This was a picture of him when he was receiving the Presidential Medal of Honor, I believe it was, back at the last State of the Union. And, this is something this is a pretty big deal, and I wanted to just share a little bit about my thoughts on it. When I was a boy, I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the man. I think a lot of those opinions are largely sort of filtered. They've got an opinion of him because of other things they've heard him say. And I think that, if you actually listen to the guy for a long period of time, whether you agree with his policies or not, you'll understand he was very witty. He had alternative viewpoints, alternative interpretations for a lot of the events going on around the world, had a lot of interpretive analytical interpretations of what was going on in the political world and America in general. And, as a boy, it was something that I didn't really understand, but I listened to a lot. It was, my mom used to listen to him when we would get into the van for soccer practice, and the volume would be very high, and I would be, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'd be like, what the heck is she listening to? Who is this guy screaming on the radio about stuff I don't even understand or have any interest in? But I would listen to him enough, and there were a lot of things that I could even understand at that young age. The sort of the cadence of his voice, a lot of the anger and frustration, the emotion that he conveyed through the radio to the other side, to people listening. And then I just slowly started to listen more and more. And then as a boy, I would sort of listen without my mom. I would just sit in front of the radio and listen to this guy, even though I didn't really know what he was talking about. I didn't know the structure of the government. I didn't know who these senators and Congress people were, but I would still listen to him. And, we didn't have much growing up, and it was sort of one of those things that we would do. Many families would get up and watch Saturday morning cartoons, or they would, go on a walk with their dog or something. We would just kind of turn the radio on and listen to Rush Limbaugh. And eventually in my life, that sort of stuck with me. And so when I went to college, I was still cleaning pools before I went to law school. I was building pools, cleaning pools before I started to build them. And when I would be cleaning pools in 115-degree weather all throughout Arizona, I would have, back in the days before we had these nice cell phones, you'd have those little armbands that you would wear on your arm as you're doing things. You wear it at the gym, but it was a radio. It was like this big, an FM, AM radio that I would just plaster on my arm, and I would just put Rush in and listen to him. I think it was from like 12 to 3 here in Arizona for 4 days and for months and for years. And, I learned a lot, and I thought that it was one of the first times in my life where I sort of developed a relationship with somebody on the other side of the microphone. And it really inspired me in a lot of ways to do what I'm doing today. And so I just wanted to pay reverence to him for being somebody who has helped motivate other people to be a little bit more expressive. When I was in college, I decided, hey, you know what, maybe I'm going to go try and broadcast a little bit. My first major was journalism, and I thought I was going to go into that field until I had to start dealing with the people in that field. And I thought, this is not going to be a good fit. Then I sort of pivoted and went into political science before going to law school. But my first 2 years at ASU, Arizona State University, I actually tried to go and broadcast at a radio studio there. There's a little station there that I think just covers campus called The Blaze. I think there's 1060, 1260 when I was there. And I would go there. I'd get up at 7 in the morning and go do the morning show on Saturday mornings. All of my friends would be hungover. I would be hungover as well, but I'd still go down there and I would broadcast for a certain period of time. And I thought, this is sort of that was kind of the birth moment of me wanting to get into some broadcasting and maybe, start doing some media and stuff. And then it just kind of disappeared. I went to law school, and they beat any sort of creative expression out of you. They say, every word that you say can be used against you. Every period, if it's in the wrong spot, you're going to get scolded and disbarred, and they're going to throw you in prison. In fact, if you anger a judge, you're going to go to jail forever for your whole life. And so all of that creative sort of, ability to go out there and be a little bit provocative, express your ideas to the world, that was sort of really bottled up for me for a long period of time. But here we are. And I would still listen to Rush. There would be times when it would be I would kind of go on these rush waves where I would listen to him and then I'd kind of, move on to a different commentator for some time and then kind of get tired of him and then come back to him. But this last little bit of his life was something, I can't believe he's not here with us today. I mean, honestly, the headline sort of hit me in the gut. It made my stomach fall quite a bit. And I just thought we were going to have a little bit more time with him and we were going to have a little bit more of his commentary, but he has moved on. So I just wanted to start off with that. I know a lot of, he's a fiery figure. A lot of people, I think, misunderstand him, but I think his heart was in the right place. I think he wanted to help people. I've always found him to be very grateful, very gracious. He was, a big personality for sure, but somebody who I thought was moving forward in the right direction, at least talking about ideas that I think were helpful for the country. So while there's a lot of vitriol being spread around the internet right now, just a massive amount. I was on Twitter, and it just makes me sick how much people get glee out of the passing of another person. I mean, I think if there should be dignity anywhere in life, it should be in death. And some of the comments that I've been seeing on Twitter are just horrendous. And I just can't imagine myself ever feeling like that about anybody on the other side of the aisle who disagrees with me politically, whatever it is. You just have to have, I think, a little bit of respect and reverence for all people who transition into the next life, because we're all going to be there as well. And you don't want to be speaking about in that way. And so, I know I'm spending a little bit of time on this, but I think it is important just to mark this moment down. And I want to thank Rush Limbaugh, say my prayers for his family and for the rest of America who is grieving his loss, because I know that I certainly am. I will never forget Rush Limbaugh. Rest in peace, my friend. We will connect later in the afterlife.